Sally Davies is the Chief Medical Officer for England, and one thing that she's really trying to warn people about is antibiotic resistance. This is something that we have discussed on the show before, because all of a sudden we're seeing the emergence of superbugs, basically bacteria that has evolved to be completely resistant to antibiotics. Now, there are cases of gonorrhea that are completely resistant to antibiotics, and also some cases of tuberculosis. So of course, doctors and healthcare professionals are really worried about this because they feel like there hasn't been enough emphasis on developing new antibiotics that are strong enough to kill these superbugs. Now, I want to read you the statement from Sally Davies. She says, quote, "Antimicrobial resistance poses a catastrophic threat. If we don't act now, any one of us could go into the hospital in 20 years for minor surgery and die because of an ordinary infection that can't be treated by antibiotics. And routine operations like hip replacements or organ transplants could be deadly because of the risk of infection." Now, that does sound a little apocalyptic, like, you know, we're in for a lot of trouble, but I think that she makes a fair point, because right now I feel like doctors are really overprescribing antibiotics. And also, think about what antibiotics do. They kill the bacteria, and then the superbugs
are the ones that remain, that have is resistance, and then they continue to breed, and then that's how we evolve. We have evolved the superbugs that are antibiotic resistant. I mean, you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. There is definitely overprescribing of antibiotics in the United States and in Europe as well. You know, one of the things that most people don't really know is that 80% of antibiotics in the United States do not go to humans. They go to farm animals, and it helps the farm animals grow faster as they grow in these crowded, unsanitary factory farm conditions. So they give what they call subtherapeutic use of antibiotics to healthy animals, and that has been linked directly in studies over the last 2 years. That's been linked directly to the rise of antibiotic superbugs.
So, okay, that's really interesting, because, you know, there's that link, but can you explain that link?
They basically were able to trace the specific kinds and the specific cells, I guess, or the strain of E. coli, I'm trying to remember, that actually was found in an antibiotic-resistant strain, and they said, oh, we can point this directly to these farm applications that are being used. So I'm sorry that I don't have it more specifically. I'll see if I can find that and send it to you.
Okay.
But yeah, that has been something that has been established fairly strong in a linkage, you know, and there have been a lot of these environmental groups and farm groups that have been saying that we really need to bring the FDA in to restrict the use of antibiotics in farming only to animals that are actually sick, not to the healthy animals, to stave this off. You know, and she, the chief of the British Medical Service, she says that we have to severely restrict, globally severely restrict the use of antibiotics worldwide if we are going to stop this, because there are no bacteria, there are no antibiotics in the pipeline right now, in the research pipeline, to replace all of the current class of antibiotics that we have.
So I'm actually concerned about that as well, because if you develop more powerful antibiotics, what are the implications? Like, what will it do to our bodies, right?
Well, because sure, they have some really dangerous side effects. You know, some of these newer antibiotics were put in because they were more gentle on the human system, and now we're having to go back to the really, really scary, nasty, you know, nuclear warfare level of antibiotics, which are really harsh on the system.
And also, I don't think that people understand how, you know, I don't know if dangerous is a strong word, but antibiotics do harm to your body, as well as kill the bacteria that you're trying to get rid of. It kills the good bacteria in your body, so it kind of destroys your digestive system for a certain period of time. You know, women have good bacteria, you know, down there. It, you know, cleans out your system, and if you get rid of that, you can get an infection.
Well, and also can do it to your intestinal bacteria. I mean, there are people that you can actually get Candida, which is a sort of a yeast infection throughout your bloodstream.
Right.
And that can kill you. And that's also something that is implicated in this antibiotic-resistant superbug issue that's coming along. There was another one that was announced just last week in Britain as well. It's called CRE. It's a kind of bacteria that's on the rise in hospitals. And there is no known antibiotics that work against this particular one that's been spreading in hospitals in Britain. And it has a 50% fatality rate.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, just to keep you happy there, you know. But it's one of those things where we need to actually continue to put the pressure on our federal agencies to do something about this overuse of antibiotics, because this has serious implications for all of us.